Spoken Realm Studios presents Crusader by Mike Guardia, narrated by Johnny Heller. Crusader, General Donn Starry and the Army of His Times, by Mike Guardia. For Marie and Melanie. Forward. I first met Donn Starry in 1973. I was a young West Point cadet on summer training at Fort Knox. He was the two-star commanding general of the U.S. Army Armor Center. If I had any doubts about whether I would remain at West Point, and any doubts about whether I wanted to be an infantryman, artilleryman, or cavalryman, when I graduated, he erased them. General Donn Starry was a courageous warrior, a once-in-a-generation thinker, a gifted writer and speaker, and uncommonly engaging with senior and junior soldiers alike. He was, quite simply, the officer I wanted to emulate in my own career. Mike Guardia chronicles the career of this superb, transformative leader. Drawing on a wealth of both serious and amusing anecdotes, he captures the essence of Donn Starry's leadership over the course of his long and illustrious career. In 1981, I met Donn Starry again. Due in no small part to his inspiration, I had remained in the Army, and I was serving in a cavalry squadron in Colorado. He was the four-star commanding general of U.S. Army Training and Doctrine Command. He was a perfect fit for this warrior scholar. He had come to Fort Carson to introduce the Army's new doctrine, AirLand Battle. Ever the thinker, ever the teacher, he was almost single-handedly changing the way the Army thought about maneuver warfare. Mike Guardia's story is especially persuasive on this point. Donn Starry redefined modern maneuver warfare and set the Army on a path of rigorous and relevant training and education, many elements of which persist today. The last time I met General Starry was in 2010. I had become the four-star commanding general of U.S. Army Training and Doctrine Command. He had agreed to visit and to compare the challenges he faced in Training and Doctrine Command post-Vietnam to the challenges I faced as the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan began to slow down and other challenges in Europe and Asia began to emerge. He was impressive, as always, and helped me see things with his rich and thoughtful historical perspective, a perspective that contributed to changes we would eventually make in our leader development model. He died a year later, a leader of consequence to the end. In the course of U.S. military history, the greatest accolades go to the generals and admirals who are victorious in the decisive battles on land, at sea, and in the air. It is ironic that those who take on the harder task of preparing our military for war.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?